Hey lady friends, welcome to Become a Podcast Queen. Are you a coach, a consultant, a network marketer, a thought leader, an entrepreneur, a keynote or public speaker, or a creative type? Perhaps you're a hobby podcaster or have a podcast of your own for your business. If so, then you're in the right place. This is a podcast for the heart-centered and bold, badass woman who wants to find, use, and amplify her own unique voice to become an absolute powerhouse in her own podcast. If you're ready to pour your passion and purpose into your very own podcast and have a positive impact and influence in the world while making an income at the same time, then please join me in these empowering conversations. Learn all of my secrets around getting your podcast up and off the ground, speaking your dreams into existence, marketing and promoting your podcast, elevating your brand awareness, growing your downloads and listenership while attracting paying clients and paying customers through the power of podcasting. My name is Alicia J, your hostess with the mostest. I'm an international podcast and business coach and a mentor to female entrepreneurs. Tune in each episode for tons of helpful insights, actionable steps to implement straight into your own podcast so that you can put your best work out there into the world. I am here to help you harness the power of podcasting to guide and inspire you to elegantly strap on those lady balls, grab the mic and press record. Are you ready to birth and build your podcast while becoming a queen at podcasting at the same time? We don't wait until we're ready. We unapologetically crown and anoint ourselves to deliver our message. Are you with me? Let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I wanted to start the episode off with a beautiful testimonial that I got from a lady named Alicia J. I won't say the last name just because of privacy. She's from Wisconsin, and I received this message back in April, so I'm a little bit late to the party, but, better late than never, in my opinion. So Alicia sent me this message on Facebook and it says, "Hi Olivia, I've been catching up with your podcast related to business and journaling and applying the different strategies you talk about. I've been working hard rebranding my art and Etsy shop. Your advice and podcasts have helped me so much. Because of them and the inside and outside work I'm committed to, I am really coming to bring it. You, go you girl. This week, I actually got asked to participate in an art show this summer and working on a small art commission, and most exciting, got asked by a musician/artist I really admire to work on a collaboration with in the near future. I am surprised and excited. Thank you for being so awesome, Alicia." Isn't she gorgeous? How sweet. So because of this, I thought I'm going to give her a little bit of a shout out. So for my listeners, what I want you to do is head to Instagram and look her up. She's got some beautiful, colorful and quirky art. Her Instagram handle is mytell_tailart. So it's MYTELL_TALEART. And go look at her Etsy store. She's got some gorgeous pieces there. So pretty and so beautiful. Okay, so I received a message on Instagram from a mini celebrity who is rather, I'd say high profile actually. And they reached out to me asking me about podcast interviews. Now, this person doesn't have their own podcast, but they've been considering it. And they've been getting messages from people wanting to interview them. So this person sent me a message, and I'm just going to keep their, identity private. And they said, this person's reached out. They want to interview me. They've asked me what my prices are, what my rates are. What do I say? What do I do? And I said to this person who is high profile and semi-famous and has a large following, I said, well, if they're offering you money, there's nothing wrong with that. You're welcome to charge for your time. So if you are listening and you are a high profile, famous person, you've got a large following, you're an influencer or something like that, if people are offering you money, why not take it, right? Especially if it's for your business, right? From a business standpoint, it's actually smart. And the fact that they're already offering this to you says that they recognize you, that, you're a valuable guest and they're willing to pay you for your time. And what I want you to think about is what feels fair for you. If you are in that position, you are high profile, you're famous, you've got a following and all that sort of jazz, what feels like a fair price to you for 30 minutes of your time, for 60 minutes of your time, for 90 minutes, because at the end of the day, time is money and money is time. For those of us who aren't as well known yet, or are pretty new and still gaining your skills in the podcasting, realm, this is great. You're probably unlikely going to have people come to you and go, "Hey, I want to pay you for an interview." And that's okay. Everyone's got to start somewhere. But what I want you to think about is the fact that for most people, they don't pay for interviews, that aren't, high profile, famous, and an influencer. It tends to be a free thing for the most part, right? Because it's free marketing and advertising for you. If they're inviting you as a guest on their podcast, they're sharing you with their podcast listeners, their audience, their base, their fans, their listeners, right? So it's free marketing for you. And don't forget too, if they pay for their podcast, if they pay for an editor or a manager or a producer or something like that, a virtual assistant, they're kind of already paying to have you on, because if they tend to just do shorter episodes and then they have like a longer interview, that's extra time they pay for. They've got to pay their editor to do, 3 times as long for this episode, right? So in a sense, they kind of already are. It's just the money's not going directly to you. So it's free marketing and advertising for you. And it's basically a win-win, because not only do they look like the expert and a resource to have someone, on their podcast that knows what they're talking about and can share their knowledge and insights and views with their listenership, it also makes you look good too, because you're a credible source to be brought onto a podcast for an interview, which is great. And if you get that exposure to a larger audience, then bloody fantastic, in my opinion, right? But if you are new to podcasting, you don't have a big listener base yet, you don't have a big business or anything like that, right? You're really just kind of starting out. You're in the first 6 months to maybe 2 years of your podcast, and you're not famous. Charging people money to be interviewed or whatnot could come off as a little bit tacky. So I just want you just to watch it, especially if you're new in this area. At the end of the day, you've got to do what feels right for you, but just keep that in mind. For me personally, I've never paid anyone to be on my podcast before. Maybe one day, but just not right now. Like, I know so many awesome, incredible, knowledgeable, crazy cats out there that I would have on my podcast, and I know that they wouldn't charge me for it. Because I think at the end of the day too, it can't just be all about money as well. It needs to be about connection. I say to people all the time, if you're doing podcasting just to make money, you could be waiting a while, depending on the person. It's different for everyone. If you've already got a business or you've already got a following, yeah, you can absolutely monetize that virtually overnight. But if you're starting out from scratch and you don't have, a huge listener base, it could take a bit of time to monetize, girlfriend, and that's okay. We've all got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start at square one. Everyone's got to start on day one. You can't skip to the last chapter of a book. I know some people do, but you're not supposed to. So just think about that. Like, for me personally, this is a new niche for me. I've been doing podcasting for ages now, but this is my new niche. So I'm building that know, like, and trust. I'm building the listenership, I'm building all of that. And so charging for interviews right now really isn't a priority for me. Maybe one day, as I said. In fact, I would love to charge, I'd love to make money through interviews, but, that can take time, and that's okay. Listen up, ladies. Boy, oh boy. Girl, oh girl, have I got something special coming your way. You know how you've been thinking about starting your own podcast, and it seems like every man and his dog or woman and her cat have a flippin' podcast these days? Do you know how you've been considering, dreaming, visualizing about having your own podcast for literally like weeks, months, maybe even years now? You know how you have all these cool ideas swirling around in your noggin, but it seems too complicated, too much to organize, too many missing pieces to fit together, and you don't even know where to start. Trust me, I get it. I procrastinated my podcast for over 6 months. You know how you're feeling super intimidated by all of the technology and techie side of things? Or maybe you already have a podcast and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. You feel like it's not getting anywhere. You're wondering if anyone is even listening to your podcast, and it's taking up all your time. You're starting to think, maybe I should just give up. Maybe it's not worth it. If this is you, then please keep listening. Here is a news flash. Starting my podcast was honestly one of the best things I've ever done for myself, for others, and also my business. And guess what? Now is the best time to start your podcast, because when are you going to have more time to focus on creating, starting, and launching your podcast and in the midst of a pandemic, right? Probably never. Pandemics only hit once in a century. So I'm actually coming out with an 8-week online program, and I will be personally guiding and supporting you through every step of the way, so you can go from confusion to clarity all around the exact steps on how to launch your own podcast like a queen and not a grandma, to help your listeners fall in love at first listen. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't know what the heck I was doing when I launched my podcast at the very beginning. I didn't have any strategy. I didn't know exactly who I was talking to. There was all these missing pieces. But as a podcast coach and a midwife, I want to help birth your podcast to the world the right way, so it doesn't need resuscitating later. And I do this through my unique launch strategy that I'll be teaching you in this program. I want to help you to become crystal clear on exactly who you're speaking to. I want you to know exactly who your ideal listener avatar is, so you know exactly what to create for these people. You know exactly what to talk about to your loyal listeners. I'm going to teach you how to make money selling your products and services through your podcast as well, including where and how to promote and market your podcast to reach your ideal listeners so that you can get your podcast into more ears, hearts, and minds to increase your downloads, as well as major platforms including iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and more. I'm going to teach you how to collaborate and interview high-profile and celebrity guests and be interviewed by other podcasts as well, so you can sharpen up your public speaking skills and tap into new audiences to grow your listenership. This program will be covering all the software and techie stuff, and I want to take that overwhelm away from you so you don't have to spend hours upon hours researching, Googling, YouTubing like I had to do. Because the fact of the matter is that you don't have to do everything yourself. Podcasting is meant to be done with ease and flow. It's meant to be fun. So let's work smarter and not harder. I'm also going to help you develop a personal brand for your podcast so that it feels aligned with who you are and also your business. So I want to personally invite you to, drumroll please, Podcast Launch Queens, where you will receive high-touch access with me as your coach through my live online program, weekly virtual classes with like-minded participants, exclusive access to a private Facebook group of supportive and uplifting women podcasters who are on the same journey as yourself. And that's right, I've already had some sign-ups and I haven't even officially announced the program until now. This program is also going to include bonus Q&A lives by yours truly. So in order to ensure each of my program sign-ups receive enough high-level attention from me, I am only going to be offering this program to 10 women maximum. The doors for enrollment are officially open as of now, and they will be closing on midnight, the 4th of October 2020. To be completely transparent with you, this is a beta program, so I don't know if I'll be running this program again. So if this has piqued your interest and it's feeling aligned for you, feel free to DM me to inquire and snag your spot before this hot program gets sold out like hotcakes. I know for another example is the speaking event that I was meant to be a part of in August, which is actually this month, but it's being delayed because of coronavirus. One of the speakers there is incredibly high profile. He normally charges $20,000 AUD to be a speaker, right? But he's waived that fee because of mates rates. He's friends with the person that's organized this event. And not just that, but it's great exposure to a whole new market, especially in Australia, that he might not normally have had access to. So there's that to think about as well. So I think the takeaway for you guys to think about where you're at in your podcasting journey. You know, if you're new and you're early, you're still developing your skills, you're still learning how to actually, interview someone and be interviewed and maybe even, pitch your products and services on your podcast and all these other things that come with it, then you've really got to weigh up whether it feels right to charge, someone to interview you. Does it feel fair to them? Does it feel right for you as well? And what does feel fair? What does feel right? What are you comfortable with? And if you're someone who's kind of in the middle where you've actually built that following, you've been doing podcasting for years now, you've monetized it, you know what you're doing, you're not a newbie anymore, you're an intermediate to an advanced podcaster, then maybe it's a healthy stretch for you to start charging for your time. Maybe it's a good idea to, let people know now that you don't do free interviews anymore. Maybe that's a healthy stretch for you in your business and your podcast. And that's not a bad thing at all. I know for me, with my journey, being a business coach or even a relationship coach, I used to do a lot of initial consults for free, right? And I liken it to the fact that if you go see a therapist, they don't see you for free. They charge you for that first consult. Yeah, like $60 or $80, even more if they're really good. They don't do that work for free. So why should it be any difference, when you're a coach, right? And I noticed a huge change when I, went from doing pro bono initial consults, free work basically, to paid consults. And even though it was a low investment, like $20, $30, I think I actually increased it to $50 not long ago, you actually weed out the people that are serious and the ones that aren't serious as well. So I just wanted to chuck that in there as a consideration because, as I said, everyone's at different stages in their podcasting journey, and that's okay. And it can take time to build it. And There are lots of different options in terms of monetizing a podcast as well. But I just thought it was really cool that someone so high profile reached out to me and said to me, Liv, you're the podcast queen. I need some guidance about this. What do you suggest? And for a moment there, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I tell this celebrity? Do it for free, be paid for it. And at the end of the day, I don't have all the answers. You know what's right for you. And I actually helped out this particular celebrity on working out what he was going to talk about on these podcasts as well, because one of them was from an LGBTQ podcast and wanted to hear their story on self-love and past relationships and identity and stuff. So I did a bit of work with that person to come up with what they wanted to share on that podcast. Because sometimes too, it's like people can come to you, want to interview you, and you're like, crap, what do I even talk about? What do they want to know? What is their audience going to benefit from? And it can put you into this state of like, what should I talk about? And it can cause a little bit of like, not necessarily panic, but that moment of, oh my gosh, they want to interview me. What am I going to talk about with them? There's heaps of ideas, some things we haven't even thought about before that even link to that particular topic. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And for any of you guys that want to, send through a testimonial, you're more than welcome to. I'm more than happy to give you a shout out on this podcast. This is something that I think I'm going to start doing now because I do receive them. It's really lovely to be thanked and honored and acknowledged, for what I do. And for those of you that are so lovely and actually take the time to reach out and say something to me, I want to kind of pay it forward and shout out to you on the podcast. So happy days. Win-win. Win-win. Look at that. Free marketing. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you in next week's episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and listening in. I truly, truly appreciate you and your listenership. I really do. And if you happen to love this episode, feel free to share it with someone to join my podcast quest of empowering more and more women to rise up, find and use their own voices to unlock a podcast of full self-expression, creativity, and freedom. I can't wait for you to show up, share your story, and serve others through your own podcast. And if you want help to achieve this and receive more personalized care, then feel free to email me at oliviapowcoaching@gmail.com to book a consult. Or you can join the conversation in my free Facebook group by searching Become a Podcast Queen Community. If you want to hang out on Instagram, search me at Alicia J. See you in the next episode, Queens.